by Riverside. Hello, everyone. Uh, Welcome back to another episode of ChaiNet. We'll just start in a minute. Super. So here we are. I think we're on our 27th episode today. And yes, super. So let's start, guys. Welcome back once more to ChaiNet. And as you know, where we learn from builders before the machines take over. I'm Rachit, your host. And today we're talking about autonomous AI agents living on the blockchain. Software is about to stop asking for permission. It will make its own decisions, it'll have its own identity, hold its own money, cut its own deals, and operate completely independently. Very interestingly, researchers say that blockchain is what will eventually make all of this possible. Blockchain will allow agents to have an identity, have an ownership, have the ability to transact without human gatekeepers. And there's a lot going on behind the scenes. And to help us understand all of this, today we'll be joined by Gautam Dhameja. He's the founder of BlockDeep Labs, and he spent nearly 8 years in the Web3 trenches. He's led solution engineering at Parity Technologies. He's architected blockchain solutions for enterprises, and before that, he's built cloud-native IoT systems at Microsoft. And there's no dearth of experience and knowledge when it comes to Gautam. So let's welcome Gautam to the stage. Hello, Gautam. Welcome to ChaiNet.
Hi, Rachit. Thank you for having me here. Glad to be here.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time, and we're looking forward to very interesting conversations today. So, Gautam, let's just start directly. So, you were actually building IoT systems at Microsoft, and then from there you went to to Big Chain DB, and then finally started building solutions at core blockchain solutions at Parity. Now you're running BlockDeep Labs, which is into core blockchain engineering. What a trend which I see is that you've been working on emerging technologies ever since. So what drives you to keep building in these emerging technology spaces?
I mean, the short answer is that life keeps giving me chances to try new things. And the longer answer would be, it's it's like you know the the pursuit to solve problems with like what is the best possible solution out there. And to give you a very simple example, when I was at Microsoft back in the like winters of 2016, we were having we were trying to do a new system on supply chain side, and suddenly there were some data inconsistency issues. Some devices suddenly went missing. And I started looking into, okay, what could be a solution to data inconsistency when there are multiple parties involved, when they don't trust each other, when, like there are these vendors and, like warehouses and all of these things. And I stumbled on Ethereum. So smart contracts, and it was very new at that time. So it's like solving problems with something that has a more like direct implementation to do that, instead of doing a workaround. That has been my approach since the very beginning. And sometimes it takes a lot of time to understand those new things and implement them. Sometimes it's rather straightforward, so that just keeps me going.
Of course, I think you're right. I think you're being humble when you say that life keeps throwing things at you. I think life keeps throwing things at a lot of us, but it comes from when the need to to go down, go deep down, understand what technology is and how is it built, right? Rather than just using it, because sometimes, a lot of times actually, when people are thrown into new tech, they just try to finish what's there, right? So as you said that you were working on supply chain, I'm sure there must be 100 other people working on supply chain in different companies at that time, and then that was the time when people were just starting to say that, okay, smart contracts would be used for supply chain, but a lot of people must have just shunned it or looked at it globally. um, so you say that you actually joined, you first encountered Ethereum when it was just very new, right? Like things are just heating up. And today we're at a point where every 18-year-old knows what is Ethereum, what is a blockchain. and they're actually trying to teach their elder generation that that what are these things. You've seen the whole industry, right? From like really when it was really nascent to like a crazy bull when everyone was saying that okay, this is the future, to now where we're somewhere in the middle, right? How have you seen the whole industry evolve?
I mean, it's pretty like I keep following the Gartner hype cycle since the very early days because when I started in IoT, it was at the top. Then like I've been following that kind of the way they look at things, and it's the same thing for blockchain as well. It started with a pretty like skepticism. Then there was a hype. Then there was the fundamental technologies. So basically Bitcoin is good. What is blockchain? Then it comes to Bitcoin is bad, but blockchain is good. Then it
Right.
comes to okay, but blockchain doesn't scale. It's bad. But then okay, what do we do with it? It now scales. Okay, now it's okay. Should we do an L1 or L2? So it keeps evolving in that, like the trends keep evolving, and with those trends, there is of course there are two sides of it. There is a tech crypto, there is a money crypto, and to be honest, I don't, like follow too much of money crypto side of things, so I won't comment on that. There
Right.
are people posting charts and like this is going up, down. That's not me, and I don't
Right.
understand those things as well. I do not have a finance background. I like to keep following the tech side of things, and it's evolving like with time. It's evolving very organically, very naturally, in the sense that we stumbled on something very interesting with like solving the double spend problem. Then we generalized it to solve other problems as well. Then we like started looking at the trilemma, then solving that trilemma using different techniques, and then finally like right now where we are with programmable money and stable coins and stuff, like things are evolving very organically, I would say. But still like we are yet to go mainstream. I still believe that.
Of course, of course. I think you're right. We're still a nerds area, right? Where we're still a lot of nerds trying to figure things out, and
Exactly.
but there are wins. Um, I would not say shifting on AI, but there are wins which say that blockchain's major use case might be found in AI, right? And of course, the hype cycle is moving towards AI. What are your thoughts on that?
I believe so. I wouldn't comment on whether it's the primary or the major use case of blockchain.
Right.
Kind of, like that record has been playing for quite some time now. That sometimes
Absolutely.
every year there is a primary use case of blockchain. So,
Right.
but I would say that yes, there is definitely some, like convergence, some connection between the two. Because on the one side, you are talking about autonomous agents and software that thinks, right? And on the other side, you are talking about technology that keeps things accountable. Like we started with making blockchain accountable for like or to keep humans accountable when like the initial use case of Bitcoin, and like banks were not being accountable, so we made Bitcoin so like finance could be more transparent, more clear, and more fair to people. um, but that has generalized. Now we can make machines accountable as well, and that is where I see that there is this underlying layer that just makes sure that everything is cryptographically secure. On top of that, whether you put humans or machines or banks or institutions, that just like those are just use cases.
Right. Correct. Very, very interesting. That on one side we're saying that software will start working on its own, but if it does start working on its own, then how do we keep it accountable, right? That's already been solved by blockchain. For in layman terms, a lot of our audiences are non-techies or maybe marketing and growth guys. um, we've been seeing on one side, all of us we're saying that okay, AI agents and programmable money and stable coins and this is going to happen. And on the other side, we're basically just prompting Chat GPT to make our next LinkedIn post, right? So what exactly is an AI agent? how is it actually different from, let's say, a chat GPT or an AI tool which we're using?
So, just a small disclaimer. So, I'm very new to this. I've mostly been into Web3, but now I'm learning AI. So, I'm an AI beginner, I would say. Um, my understanding right now is that there are three parts, like to begin with. One is, like a conversational AI tool that like ChatGPT, which is pretty much just, like predicting the text that you are looking for, basically. Then you have something called as a workflow, which is more like what N8N is offering, uh, where you can say, okay, this is my workflow. When this happens, do this, do that, do that. And there is some sense of, you know, autonomous stuff happening behind the scenes. And then there it comes to the point where we are looking at workflows driven by reasoning from the machine, not reasoning from the human. And that is what I call an agent. Like if I am having an agent, I want it to think. I want it to actually take a decision on my behalf and then, do some action based on that decision as well. So uh, the first, like the conversational AI tools that we have, they are doing the reasoning, but they are not making a decision and they are not doing an action. The second one is workflows, which in some cases do reasoning, but not in all cases. So they are basically doing some action based on reasoning from the human. And then the third thing is
Right.
where you are combining reasoning, decision, and action. That is an agent, essentially.
Correct, correct. And then I think when you combine all of that, then that's the point when you would eventually need a blockchain sort of solution, right? Like when do you need something like that then?
So, at least in my, like initial understanding, I think blockchain comes a little bit more downstream. To give you an example, when a human is interacting with an agent, at that point in time, the human, if they know that, okay, on the other side, I'm talking to an agent and there could be, like things, because an agent is reasoning on a particular subject. Like
Correct.
there could be a coding agent, there could be a e-commerce agent, there could be this, they are goal oriented and they have limited reasoning skills. On the other side, and that is where I pretty much do not think blockchain is needed. Because,
Right.
we can make agents accountable if we are interacting with them. But when an agent is talking to another agent, they do not trust each other because they are machines. They don't know what is the meaning of trust.
Right.
And they need something that they can keep each other accountable for, but they cannot be each other's, like to keep them accountable. They need something, some third party.
Right.
That third party cannot be and they don't even trust that third party, essentially. Now, this goes back to the initial use case of blockchain.
Right.
You have multiple parties.
Correct.
They don't trust each other. They want agreement, and they need a layer that can get them that agreement. And these
Fair.
multiple parties now become multiple agents. So when an agent and agent are talking, when two agents or more than two agents are talking to each other, I would say blockchain becomes essential in that scenario. But when humans are involved, I still do not see the need for a blockchain. But I could be wrong because I'm very early into this.
Fair. I think honestly, I feel that we're all very early, right? Like I think the only agents using blockchain right now is very nascent, right? Like there are trading use cases and all which are of course being solved, but that's about it, right? Like the more deeper use cases, as you said, when there are two. Like the other day, I was talking about agentic commerce, and that this came in. Like a lot of people are now saying that agentic commerce is going to be the next big thing, um, but there are no two agents even talking to each other, right? Let
Yeah,
commerce is a very like as society developed, first we started to communicate with each other, like try to address our feelings or communicate our feelings, and then barter system sort of came in. So we're still at, if we compare it to human society, we're still at that stage where there are like humans independently trying to figure life out, but the society itself has not developed. So first that needs to develop, then communication happens and your commerce happens and all of that. Fair.
exactly.
And um, but tell me something. Was this the first time? So when you've been learning about AI agents, was this the first time you kind of it struck you that okay, this is like a good use case, or was it something else? When did you first realize that okay, this is like the future?
So my understanding has been evolving on this. I still remember, like back in 2017, when I just entered into Web3. This was major ICO era at that time. Like I
Yes.
literally started Web3 in the middle of ICOs, and one of my friends and colleagues back at BigChain we used to sit next to each other, and he was building bots for trading. Like in his
Right.
free time, he would just like create some. And this was not an AI bot. This was like a if else condition bot. Like
Hmm.
if the price goes up, sell it. If the price goes down, buy it. Something like that. And that kind of stuck in my head. Like, okay, this guy is like he's just sleeping, and his bot is just running on a AWS server and making money for him.
Right.
And then happened ChatGPT in 2022, and then
Hmm.
later there was a, and then I connected that idea. Okay, there was, if this was an agent, he wouldn't have to
Hmm.
write so many if else conditions. He could
Correct.
just give a prompt. So instead of that bot being created by an engineer and used by an engineer, that could be used by anyone. And that is
Hmm.
where like it kind of clicked that you can have AI do things for you. Like in this case, it was trading because more straightforward for us in crypto.
Correct.
But that is when it clicked. Like you can have another brain, which is more like a smaller subset of goal oriented stuff.
Fair. Fair. Yeah. I think that's very interesting, and that has been the first use case, right? Trading in general has been the
Yeah,
first use case of AI agents using blockchain, at least if not building on blockchain, or
yeah,
or at least interacting with the blockchain.
yeah.
So interacting is of course one thing. We'll come to that with some more examples. um, but how can, if an AI agent is, let's say there are multiple AI agents, a lot of people still don't understand that why cannot identity, for example, or trust or whatever, why cannot it be done by a simple database or a cloud system or an AWS server? Why do you need a why would you need a blockchain?
So I think this. Let me give you the more uh, let's say broader understanding of this, because I did a lot of work in the decentralized identity space in the beginning of my Web3 days, and what I understood at that time was that it's not that you are offering your identity and and like you need a blockchain for that.
Right.
You have your passport, you have your whatever, like, and that there is an angle that you don't want to show all of that information. You want to say you are more than 18 years, then you should just have a claim on your identity anchored. That is all fine. That is on the user side. But now think of the organization. Like, let's say you are a bank, or let's say you are a government, or like something, and and you essentially want them to trust that this is your identity. This is why they store it.
Right.
Okay. Like if Facebook is asking for your identity, or if a bank is asking for your identity, they want to store it on their side because they keep going back. And but if they get a layer or an external thing that like that they can trust, then they will not have to store your identity. So
Hmm.
this is why blockchain is not for like our storage or something, for making sure whoever needs to trust it gets to trust it without storing it. Now the
Got
same
it.
thing comes to the agent side as well. Like the other agent, either it will like make sure that who you are, which agent you are, like because there could be multiple. In the cases of agents, it's very easy to copy some identity. Like like, or if you are putting it in a database and you're not securing it with a private key or with a fingerprint or something like that, what are the chances that it get hacked and copied, essentially? So you
Of
want
course.
to anchor it on something that cannot be hacked. That like if you're talking to an agent that I have for doing something, and you have been doing something, these two agents are talking to each other, they should verify each other's identity, without storing it, of course, because storing identity again makes it more malicious. So that is where I see that to verify, you need some external third party that is not centralized, that cannot be hacked.
Right. So when for layman, for someone who's not so much for doesn't know much, basically tomorrow when there are thousands of agents talking to each other, um, we would need a way that all the agents, like we would need an Aadhaar of the world, right? Of agents. And that Aadhaar cannot be a central, like it cannot be, that Aadhaar cannot be run by a Meta or a Google. That Aadhaar needs to
It,
be something which is run by everyone together. And that is where
exactly.
identities comes in. That is why it cannot be done by database.
Exactly. It's the other thing is also like, there are when we are talking about Aadhaar, we are talking about people living in India, um, and we can, kind of trust each other's Aadhaar because we are affiliated towards the same institution, like Government of India.
Exactly. And there's a central
Um,
authority which is verifying, right? Like
very fine,
the
exactly,
UIDAI
and we
makes sure
trust
that
that
okay, this is
authority.
yeah,
Yeah, but the government of Germany will not trust the Aadhaar.
correct.
Um, So there has to be something more. That is why we have passports then, right? So that has an international this thing acceptability. So similarly, when agents are there, they are across boundaries, across countries. They don't know what a country is, so they need something more global, and most importantly, something more secure.
Correct.
And that is where blockchain comes into the picture.
Amazing, amazing. Solid use case, and if we talk about it like this, it seems like they were built for each other. Like, but let's see how it unfolds for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, but walk us through a simple real world example. What's happening today? What does an AI agent on the blockchain is actually doing in practice?
So in practice, we are still very early, and there are already, like yesterday, I was just reading a Reddit thread about why do we need a blockchain for an AI agent, and there are two angles to it. One is some people are saying we don't need one because like if you trust an API, you should just go with it. Some people are saying why should you trust an API when like you already have seen some disadvantages of that side. So of course, keeping all that aside, right? Practically, I think right now we only have trading agents. People are like like see when some experiment uh, talk and stuff. Not not practical. Um, um, right now, yeah, you know, yeah, like and stuff expose you to translation, but they are right now appearing
It's it's more on uh, today. I think that's fair. So, just first there are causes, there are damage, some uh, not of right, like, tomorrow agents like, how would it something and can
a bit more own digitally. What are I log into the picture, data, see, can see. I feel dread, you know, uh, changes all. Now, and if I get uh, in a wallet or something, uh, that's done like the see in the is I'm a huge passport because digital, you know,
Correct. I is that they would have digital also. When something digital, you're basing something, right? Like my ID, social account, believable, and which we can see can happen. It's not a big deal. Uh, but that's also because I don't know whether I don't know. Uh, there new and the thought was that that idea. Uh, about that. That's the better. Is like
this able to access, but you can access a contract up to every one the top of it things like different things together. And that is money is different. You allow your agent some part of it should first of all there is of like well easily manageable for it. And I believe we have turned it
with typically a stable coin. Who there are now new protocols, there are new regulations. So it's very interesting. I think the moment agentic commerce hits, payments would
yeah
become very obvious. Stablecoin would become very obvious. The moment agents start communicating to each other, identity would become very obvious. These are, but you're right. We are still early. We are
yeah
nowhere close to what can happen, and that also gives a very interesting perspective because right now on one side of the table there are thousands of people losing their jobs, right? Because software development itself, like web development, was which it was earlier. It's no longer there. I don't even think it exists anymore today. to write a new website. Earlier, if you needed like 10 developers, you need one now. But on the other side, there is so much to be done in the AI space that there is still a lot of work. We're nowhere close to where we can reach, and that's if people do upskill, or if people do build on these technologies, then there is a lot of scope. Like there is
Yeah.
never it's never technologies. Then there is a lot of scope. Like there is
Yeah.
never it's never a situation where it is all dark. It is basically you need to, but you need to upskill, you need to upgrade. So let's say there
Yeah.
are developers, entrepreneurs. What is your advice? You've been in the, you've been working on emerging technologies forever, and you know how it works. And although it's very hard, I think, for someone who's who's been working on certain thing for like 10, 20 years, for them to move or switch. But let's say there are developers or entrepreneurs who want to build in this space. How should they do it? What should they focus on? What should be their game plan?
Um, I would say that there are two things. One is think of uh, think of this as like as an extension of you instead of as a replacement of you. So like if you are worried about that AI will take your job, then you are thinking AI is going to replace you. But think of
Right.
it, what can you do that it can become an extension of you? Like if you become a programmer that takes advantage of AI, then it becomes an extension. But if you become a programmer that only does stuff that AI can also do, then it is replacing you. So
Correct.
move up the ladder, become and uh, a smarter version of yourself. So like AI can be still dumber than you. Like it's a catch up race in my opinion. Like
Right.
AI wants to become like humans, but it has not become yet. So there is always a time or like gap where we can be, and AI can always be like dumber than us, at least for the time being. And eventually it might catch up. And then we'll all go back to like making more music, making more cool stuff that we should be doing. But in the meantime, I would say extension versus replacement is something that I am currently like thinking about more. And secondly, um I think it's a good time to come out of the comfort zone as well. It's an exciting time to try new things, get more like knowledge out of things. So at least I am taking this as an opportunity that okay, there is another thing I have to think about and come out of the comfort zone and like see what can be done. So that is what I would like suggest others as well.
Amazing. Yeah, I think it's very true for especially everyone in the tech space. I think you're very right when you say that we need to get out of a comfort zone. I think one of the reasons I started this live series was also because I was very camera shy. I wanted to come out of my comfort zone in some way or the other. But yeah, Gautam, it's been fascinating. Thank you so much for breaking down such complex things in such simple words. It's always a pleasure to have someone who has so much knowledge, but also can express themselves in a way where um, layman can understand them, right? For everyone else who's listening, if you want to dive deeper into blockchain fundamentals, if you want to dive deeper into how eventually blockchain and AI will merge, find Gautam on his Instagram called Geek Bhaiya. It's an amazing thing which he started. In very layman language, you get to know a lot of knowledge. And for blockchain, check out his book, Beginning Blockchain, or his podcast, which is on Spotify called BlockShots. We're moving from a world where we used apps to a world where agents would work for us, and eventually, I think blockchain is not just a technology choice; it's the foundation which would give these agents identity, ownership, and trust. And whether this becomes the next internet or not, we don't know. It's yet to see. As Gautam said, we're very early right now. Uh, but the good thing about that is that there's a lot of work to be done. And if you upskilled, if you learn this technology, if you get out of your comfort zone, you can definitely build for that and survive the next 10 years. But yeah, if this conversation got you thinking, please share it with someone who's curious about where this technology is headed. And if you're building in this space, would love to hear from you. Please follow Gautam, see what he's building, and if you want to learn from him, I think he's always reachable, or he's one of the most reachable persons on any of the social media platforms. Thank you so much once more, Gautam, for this, for doing this for us, and yeah, looking forward to following your journey.
Thank you so much, Richard. Thanks for having me here.
Amazing. Great. Thank you, everyone. Until next time, keep learning from the builders. Bye bye.